place. And there's a lesson to be learned from that, and that is that while God uses people, I want the Lord to use me, and you ought to have a desire for him to use you. The reality is that this place stood for a long time before I was ever even thought of. Amen. And thank you for that, Hardy. Amen. It stood for a long time before I was ever even thought of, and frankly, before you were ever even thought of. And so we're talking about God's church, that it is something that it depends upon not the skill of man, but it depends upon the power of God. I'm going to share a history with you today, and these pictures, what you're looking at, I've got some things to read to you, but then I'll deviate a little bit from this and just tell something of the story. First Baptist Church, it began in 1884 in a place called the Beeman Opera House. Let me give you a little background. In 1884, the world had yet to experience things like the automobile and air travel. Things we take for granted today had not yet been created, and in some cases had probably not even been imagined. During that year, Grover Cleveland won the presidential election. The Washington Monument was completed. Mark Twain published The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. The Ringling Brothers Circus was established, and the cornerstone for the Statue of Liberty was laid on Bedloe's Island in New York Harbor. In 1884, Everett's Main Street was still a dirt roadway traveled largely by horses pulling wagons or buggies through town. If one wanted to travel far, they would likely make their way to the local depot and board one of the Flint and Pierre Marquette passenger trains leaving town. On September 7th, 1884, a few interested individuals under the direction of Reed City Baptist minister William P. Squires held a meeting at the Beeman Opera House, and the First Baptist Church of Everett was officially organized. Now, the picture you're looking at is the Beeman Opera House. It is not the one where this church was organized. That building was gone. We've done some of the history, and there are pictures of it. Weren't able to acquire those. But the Beeman Opera House sat on the location where our old building is at right now. Mr. Beeman sold that to the church for the express purpose of building a church building there, and that is what was constructed later in 1892 at the cost of approximately $1,500. Isn't that a blessing? Now, about $1,500. When that building was torn down, the Beeman Opera House moved to another location, which is the building you see on the screen behind you, and that was located over here where the post office currently sits. There, following that, there was a time when there was a stone building there that was the Seventh-day Adventist Church, but before that, the Beeman Opera House, at the site where our post office is, Mr. Beeman, we don't know how many operas were actually held there. Some think that was a cultural thing to give it a little class, but it was more of a music hall. Mr. Beeman was from Maryland, and he enjoyed that type of thing, but he met his demise in that house, and this is not a made-up story. We've checked this with different people, but they were moving a piano, and the piano fell on him and killed him. So, at any rate, that was you'll never move another piano in your life without thinking about that story. But 1884, that is when, and in the Beeman Opera House, that is where that the First Baptist Church of Everett was officially organized. The church called its first pastor in 1887, and its original building was constructed in 1892. Mike, you go ahead and move us along one more picture. There's another shot here of the Opera House. You can see the dirt road out in front of things. Again, the pictures that we've seen over these last couple of weeks or days are fascinating. So we have there to your right, past those ladies, then the corner, that's the Opera House. Again, if you can imagine, way down on that sidewalk where the trees start on the left-hand side, that's where the building that was constructed in 1892, that's where it sits, and of course we're right next to it. So for decades, First Baptist Church continued to shine the gospel light in the Everett area under the leadership of 20 different pastors. A Great Depression, 2 World Wars, the mass production of the automobile, and countless other technological and industrial advancements have occurred during these years. Through them all, the old church on Main Street has stood. Mike, would you move us ahead? If you look at those 3 pictures, the one on your left is the old United Methodist Church. It used to sit right here next door to Corey's. That burned. How many of you can remember when that burned? Okay, and Grandma, like your father-in-law passed away that day, did he not? Or right thereabouts? Okay, and then next to the other side is the Presbyterian Church, stood over here at the corner of Hemlock and 5th Street, and right there in the middle is First Baptist Church of Everett that still stands next door here today. Move along one more if you would, and that's just, there you go, you can see it again, just a different time. Keep on going here. Got you parked, put in place. See the old vehicles over there on the side, and then the most modern. The oak tree, I've been fascinated by that. How little it is in the original picture that we have, and then it gets a little bigger, and then we removed it here a few years ago. It was gigantic. Let's go one more slide if we could here. All right, there's the interior, and again, this just marks the advancement down. That picture's taken in the mid-1970s. During the late 1980s and early 1990s, the church went through a period of decline. This reached the breaking point when in October of 1992, with a very small number of active members and no pastor, the church closed its doors for approximately 1 month. During this time, the church contacted Pastor Ron Lucas of Liberty Baptist Church in Reed City to see if he could help them. You just see a picture in 1988 of what we had come down to, and then 1991, I think, is the next one. Go ahead, Brother Mike. And so at that point, that is the last congregational photo that we have. Those numbers declined, and then in 1992 again, with just a very small number of people, and their pastor, Brother Johnson, who we sought to get Brother Johnson here today, but Pastor Johnson pastored this church for 17 years. He's in a nursing home in Cadillac, and his health not allowed him to be here to be a part of this day. But at that point, they were without a pastor and made the contact with Pastor Lucas at Liberty, who is here with us today. Here's what took place, and we need to understand that we not forget our history over this. This is how close we were to not having what takes place here today. Liberty came alongside of First Baptist Church, invested heavily in its survival and success. Pastor Lucas asked a group of people who lived in the Everett area but were attending Liberty to essentially switch churches, to come here, to attend, give, and serve at First Baptist Church. Now you think about that. I don't want to be selfish about this, but we want to see a church grow. And the idea of asking people to leave and go somewhere else to help, I mean, there's very few of you that I would do that with. I mean, very few that I would even consider. You're not yet, all right. There's a very limited number that I would even consider something like that. What I'm saying to you is that's not an easy thing, but it has to do with seeing the big picture, if you will. And there needs to be a church that is a Bible-preaching, gospel-preaching church in that community. And if it need not die and we can help it, then we want to help it. And that was the mentality. A faithful member of Liberty, Howard Bowen, was asked, and Pastor Bowen and his wife Pam are here with us today. Howard Bowen was asked to serve the struggling church that now had some new life built into it. Pastor Bowen served for approximately 3 years and would then go on to pastor Dover Baptist Church in Bristol, Michigan. Following Pastor Bowen, another man from Liberty, Dwayne Costello, became the pastor. Pastor Costello would serve at First Baptist for 2.5 years before moving on to pastor the Fellowship Baptist Church of Luther. Both of these men had good ministries here, and the church experienced times of growth and was able to carry on the Lord's work here. Serving in the interim is Pastor James Wheeler. Pastor Wheeler made it his business to prepare the church in any way he could for the arrival of its next minister. I was a kid coming here. I was 24 years old, and he did such things as preparing the people through his preaching, emphasizing the need to follow the direction of a pastor, these types of things, and was just a priceless individual, and he and his wife would continue to serve after my arrival. Brother Wheeler and his wife would continue to serve as active members at First Baptist Church until going home to be with the Lord in July and November then him of 2007. Their fingerprint is all over. Just so much that is in this place. Every time you push a door open in this building, there's a good chance that Brother Wheeler either stained or varnished it. It's just the help that he was is unbelievable. On August 30th, 1998, the church extended the call to Ryan Biles. That's me. To become the 23rd pastor in the church's century-long history. My first Sunday was September 20th, 1998. And I have the privilege of continuing to serve here until this time. For the glory of God, souls have been saved, baptized, and added to the church. Some of you, the old building, you remember it. That's the old Baptist. People would ask me, is it still there? No, it's not. But the guys who removed it, they certainly remember removing it. It had to come out for what we were doing there. That's a picture of the old building. How many of you were here to worship in the old building? Okay, all right. And there's one more, I think, another shot there. Hey, there's Rachel Rennie right there in the middle. Now she's Rachel Stafford. She's over here with a husband and 2 children. That's pretty sweet stuff. And Mrs. Hall over here on the right, I think that's Rose Bowman over there. I'm thinking that's Arnold Smith there. I can identify him by the top. He's talking to Brother Troy, who, look at all that hair. Isn't that something? I'm going this way, he's back that way for you. But at any rate, and I'm looking around, you can see different folks. And at any rate, just God gave us some precious people. The glory of God, souls have been saved, baptized, and added to the church over the years. In 2001, it was obvious the church was in need of a larger facility due to increased growth. The building program began, and it became our moment, if you will. This church in the old building saw world wars, a Great Depression. We focused on moving into a new building. In the month that we sought to start raising money for that, 9/11 occurred. And everything began to be just chaotic, if you will. But the need to build was obviously there. The building program began. You can go ahead and just run this, the foundation being laid, and then the building would just drywall and no carpeting, no flooring. Here we sit in that building today. I think there's one more right there. Let's just stop right there. Building program began, and the church entered its new facility in March of 2003, right next door to the original building. Our world has changed a great deal in 135 years. We drive to church in automobiles rather than with a horse. Our roads and buildings are much more modern, and the conveniences we enjoy are numerous. Some things have not changed. Man is still lost, and he's still in need of a Savior. Amen. God is still holy and loving, and he has provided that Savior. And the church is still responsible to proclaim that message. And by God